It would be really easy to get the wrong idea about Inherit the Earth Quest for the Orb. All the characters are animals, and the box bears the fake MPAA rating GA for general audiences. The obvious conclusion is that this game is meant for the kiddies, and it ain't necessarily so.
Well, you know, the animals are not of the cutesy Bambi variety. The Disney version of Robin Hood comes much closer. Your main character is even a fox, but this game really has its origins in anthropomorphic comic books, which are definitely for a more mature audience than, say, the Care Bears movie. So anyway, you play Riff, who is innocently competing in a puzzle tournament when the word comes down that the whole fair is being canceled because the Orb of Storms has been stolen. And Riff is accused of the crime for no other reason than his foxness.
I'm glad to see you notice that whole racial overtone too. I mean, no one wants to judge Riff as an individual. They just jump to conclusions because he's a fox. Now, how different is that from the real world?
Well, before you get into too political an interpretation, remember that we're not just talking about different races, but a whole different species here. Riff is given one chance to escape execution for this crime.
Execution, for crying out loud. Not exactly due process, is it? The programmers are making a pretty heavy point about the justice system here.
Are you going off again? These are animals. Well, it's amazing they don't just rip his throat out on the spot. Anyway, Riff has to find the real thief and then return the orb.
Since Riff is under suspicion by the man...
Hey look, there's not a man to be seen in this whole game.
Okay, since Riff is under suspicion by the authorities, he is saddled with two quest companions, an elk and a boar.
And they travel around looking for clues to the robbery. So the party travels all over this wide area, trying to find the villain, and at the same time that they learned about the orb, they also find out a lot about the mythical beings from the distant past called humans, who gave the animals, or morphs as they call themselves, the gift of consciousness.
And you say there's no politics in this game?
Well, yeah, that's politics, but it doesn't really reflect our modern world, does it? How many scientists do you know are really trying to hold conversations with their lab mice? For the most part, the social structure of the animals grew out of their natural tendencies. The elks live in a huge forest. The ferrets are constantly busy, and the boar king loves to wallow in the mud.
Yeah, but you can see the man's influence there, too.
What are you babbling about now?
Didn't you notice? The rats said they were the first animals to be morphed by man, and their living environment looked like a huge maze. Get it?
Yeah, you have a point, for once. I was amazed at the quality of the direction and voice acting. The same story could have been made into a very good animated film, and not much would have had to be changed.
Yeah, the voices were great. Too bad they were only in the opening segment, though. It just made me hungry for the CD-ROM version. The manual is laid out very nicely, especially those gorgeous pen and ink illustrations of the morph characters.
As I said, the concept didn't come from cheesy children's movies so much as from comic books. In fact, the word morph is probably a shortening of anthropomorphic.
Stop showing off your book learning, Brainiac.
While this game isn't just for kids, they would at least be able to figure out how to play pretty easily. The mouse-only interface has a lot of nice, instinctive point and click.
I don't know if I'd even be comfortable letting my kids play it. A lot of the humor seems pretty subtle, and I don't think they'd get it.
So let me get this straight. You're upset that the programmers didn't write down to their audience? Did you ever see an episode of Bullwinkle in your life?
While this is a really good game, it will probably suffer in sales for no other reason than the fact that many people equate a family game with a simple and childish one. That's not even close to the truth here.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of genre breaking in the field too. And if this game were advertised right, it might even attract some people who haven't done much gaming. People who'd like more than just another hackneyed quest adventure.
It might do that, assuming that there was justice in the world.
You can be a real pain, you know that?